Hey everybody, good afternoon. Thanks for clicking on and welcome to another beautiful day here in southeastern Wisconsin. I hope you guys are doing well. If you guys saw my last video, and hopefully you did, you know that in my last video I was stuck on crutches. Well, thankfully, I don't need these anymore. I'm back on my own 2 feet and I'm able to walk again. But I had an idea while I was on crutches because I was disappointed. You know, you're on crutches, your hands are on the crutches, you don't have your hands free. Really difficult to fish, but I thought, what if my crutches was my fishing pole? So, even though I'm off of crutches now, it gave me an idea. I'm going to do kind of, I guess, a challenge video. That seems to be all the rage lately. Where this is going to be my fishing pole, and I've got about an hour. I'm going to go see how many fish I can catch in 1 hour using crutches. So let's go have some fun and find out. Alright, so in front of me here, I think I have everything I'm going to need. I've got my crutch fishing pole, I've got my tackle box with a whole bunch of line. What I decided is probably the best thing to do would be to just ultralight for some small panfish or microfish or whatever it's called. Basically, I'm not looking for huge fish here because clearly I don't have drag. So I'm running the line a little bit past the length of the crutch here. This is just the cheapest line that I own. Now I'm going to come to the end of the crutch here and I'm going to tie this on using an arbor knot just like I would to a reel. Alright, so I've got that tied on with an arbor knot. It's not the prettiest work on that knot, but I've got the rubber stopper here as kind of a way to keep the line on. And we'll run down to the end of the line here. Alright, so I am back at the same park that I've fished in the past. There's a pond here that that I took the girls fishing in a past episode, Big Adventure Little Fish. Make sure you check that episode. I'll click that little eye up on the top of the screen for you. One of the advantages of this place is it's small. I know there's a lot of very small bluegill in here. At least they were quite small earlier in the year, and they were fairly aggressive, and I don't think it was spawning at the time, so that's a positive as well. So challenge number one, there go the geese. So challenge number one is apparently the geese are going to be scaring these fish, but challenge number two is I got to actually find these fish, because like I said, this line's not going to go very far offshore. So let's do some searching, see if we can find some fish, and hopefully we can catch them. Alright everybody, good morning and welcome to part 2 of, well, I guess just this video. Part 1 was a failure. I was trying to fish with crutches and it didn't quite work. I decided I needed to prove to myself that the little bluegills that are in here are catchable. Not only prove to myself, but also prove to you guys as well. Today, we're going to microfish for these little bluegill. If I didn't say already, I'm at the same pond as I was trying to fish with crutches and failing miserably. So I brought an ultralight pole out today. We're going to just do some bobber fishing with worms. I know there's at least one bass in here, at least there was earlier this year. So I do have another rod with me with just a hook set up for a Texas rig if I need to, but until then I'm going to see how many fish I can catch in the next hour or so. So the problem that was very apparent to me a minute ago is that these fish are so small, and yes, I know I have a big chunk of worm here on a tiny hook. Well, when I went to Walmart today, we'll downsize our worm, When I went to Walmart today, I was looking for waxworms, and they had them, but they were dead. So I figured it's probably going to be better to fish with live crawlers, cut down to quite a smaller size than it would be to fish with dead waxworms. If you think otherwise, leave a comment down below, and maybe I'll try that next time. Alright, so what's happening here is pretty obvious, and I think I mentioned it earlier, but these fish are not getting the whole worm in their mouth, which means they're not getting the hook in their mouth, which means I can't set the hook, which means I'm at the mercy of whether they're holding on or not, which obviously they let go pretty quick once they realize that, hey, this isn't your normal bite to eat. So I don't know what it's going to take to actually land a fish here. Hopefully one that's big enough that I just get lucky or something. Or maybe I'll have to continue to downsize my worm. Or I could just go somewhere where there's bigger fish, but that's not the point of right now. Right now, the point of today is to prove that I can catch one of these tiny little bass or bluegills in here. There's probably tiny little bass in here too. Oh, there we go. Nibble, nibble, nibble. Is he running with it? I don't think he's on anymore. They're still swimming to it though. Yeah, these are some tiny, tiny fish. Probably like fingerlings. Not something most people would consider to be worth catching. But I'm not most people. I'll take what I can get. We're gonna try hooking this worm just a little differently. Running it through the body so that hopefully they actually grab the tip. We'll see if that actually helps my hook set. See if they actually grab the hook. Goodness gracious, I almost had one. Almost has been the key of the day. Oh, they're all swarming it. Oh man, look at that. I know how to catch a fish after all. Well, it's not exactly where you want to set the hook, but look at that. Foul hook set. Finally brought one in. Hopefully, I can get a few more so that this isn't the world's most pathetic single fish Sunday. So as much as I'd like to take credit for my little change in how the worm was on the hook, it was a foul hook, so I can't. But I'm going to keep a small little chunk of worm, keep it close to the hook tip, and we're going to see if we can get another swarm going at it. A couple looking at it already. Number 2. All right. And these are some tiny, tiny bluegill. Open your mouth, bud. Let me see what I'm doing. Well, now I can claim that strategy worked. Because reset how the worm was on the hook, and actually got a legitimate hook set. I also waited for him to take it a little bit longer so that I could make sure that I wasn't going to just yank it out of the mouth. And it seems to be working alright. Back to back. So the air is heating up. The sun is coming out. Wonder if the water's heating up just enough that these fish are starting to wake up and get hungry. Alright, number 3. Come on, buddy. There you go. Oh man, you're slippery, dude. Go back home. There he goes. Alright. Now if I can catch a few more, I just might be able to salvage an episode out of this. We can even call it microfishing to make it seem like it was intentional to catch nothing but tiny fish. Alright, so they're in these weeds here. Alright, number 4. So obviously they're hanging out in those weeds in the middle of the pond there. So I found them. Is that a pattern? Can you really call it a pattern if you're fishing with bobbers and worms? I'm just sort of hoping for the best. I don't know. I'm going to call it a pattern, because that way I sound smarter than I really am. Just like, can you really call it back-to-back casts when you could just let it sit in the middle of the lake with the bobber for as long as you wanted? I don't know. I'm going to say it is, so that my earlier back-to-back casts count and makes me seem like a more accomplished fisherman than I am. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today. Only 4 tiny little micro bluegill today. Probably could have caught more, but I changed to a different pond to try and catch a bass, which is why I'm all covered in this cattail fuzz and stuff. My coat's way worse. And I didn't catch any bass over there. So, I guess in summary, for lack of a less nerdy term, crutch fishing did not work out. I probably would closer to the spring when the fish are closer to the shore, but not this weekend. And it felt good to catch a couple of tiny little fish. It's better than nothing. As always, if you liked what you saw, push the red button down below to subscribe. Push the bell next to it to get notifications when I put out my next video. If you didn't like what you saw, comment down below. Let me know what I can do better for you. As always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. See you guys.